Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Tonight, we're talking about 3 major reasons your weight may be increasing, and increasing rather quickly when you transition out of a dieting phase and into a maintenance phase. I've got a ton of excellent information for you tonight. Get ready to take a couple minutes worth of notes, get a pad of paper, a pencil, and again, you're going to be able to apply this instantly and really begin to understand to let go of the scale more and more the further you move away from a diet, because it's so misleading. But before we get started, guys, let's share, let's help each other out. In the comments section below, what's the last thing you had to eat? Let me see what you've been eating today. I'd love to know, because I want to pick your brain and get some ideas so I can mix up my own meal choices. Me personally, I had some grilled chicken, some mixed vegetables that I steamed in the microwave, had a big old bowl of oatmeal, 2, caramel corn rice cakes, a nice old cup of coffee, if you can't tell. And there was no chocolate in the house. That was unfortunate, because usually I'd have some of that after my workout. But anywho, let's get to it. 3 major reasons your weight is increasing, and increasing quickly when transitioning out of a diet. I want to start by painting a picture. You just finished your diet, and your last few weigh-ins were as follows: 137 pounds, 138 pounds, and 137.5 pounds. Bam! New lows. You finished your diet at a low of 137 pounds. Awesome, Patricia. Ooh, RP-friendly enchiladas, yummy. So you finished your diet at a low of 137 pounds. You're down 14 pounds to date. You started at 151 pounds, ended at 137 in just shy of 12 weeks. Fantastic. So that Saturday, you get a workout in, you enjoy a wonderful free meal, no macro, no calories counted whatsoever, just how it should be. And then you slowly get back on plan. At this point, you have increased your calories because you watched my video on Monday talking about how important it is to increase your calories when transitioning out of a diet. But all of a sudden, a week goes by, 2 weeks go by. Oh, Joe, great to see you here, my friend. 2 weeks go by and your weigh-ins are as follows: 140, 141, 140.5. And we see that the averages here are 140.5 and 137.5. So in just 2 weeks' time, you've gained 4 pounds. And that's almost a third of what you lost in the last 12 weeks. How could it be in just 2 weeks you've gained 30% of the weight you just spent 3 months working so hard for? How could it be? Why is it happening? Should you cut calories? What should you do? You should just take a deep breath and soak it in and let it be. Here's why. Your weights the last week of your diet, those final few weigh-ins, apple cinnamon rice cake with peanut butter and sliced banana. Katie, I need you to send me some of this. If you want to come cook or prepare food for me, you're invited. Anywho, the last few weigh-ins of your diet are a lie. They are a complete lie, and if you base the next few weeks of maintenance off of those final few lows, you're going to set yourself up on a disastrous path of stress and increased anxiety because you're referencing the wrong number. Here's why those final few weigh-ins are a lie. To help you drive the final few pounds of weight off your body those couple weeks, what do? At this point, you probably have cut carbohydrates even further just to try to eke out another pound or 2. Well, what happens is the carbohydrates that you store in your muscles and your liver become significantly depleted. Carbohydrates also happen to carry water. So by making that further reduction in carbohydrates, now you've reduced carbs from your body, where you store them in your muscles and your liver, and you've reduced water. So this extra couple pounds of weight you may lose is not an extra couple pounds of body fat out of nowhere in just a short time. No, it's mostly related to getting rid of more carbohydrates and more water. Additionally, if you've been dieting for 10, 12, even 14 weeks, you are bound to have lost a little bit of muscle mass. In most people, it's just simply inevitable. Now, are you starting to see why that weight is a lie, those final few weigh-ins? Because it doesn't reflect the new sustainable body weight you've achieved. You are you are much lower on carbohydrates and water and missing a little bit of your precious muscle mass. So now, when you transition out of a dieting phase, what do? Well, you begin to add calories back in. And of those calories, we have a lot coming from carbohydrates most likely. So now in just a short time frame, your muscles and liver are storing more and more carbohydrates. And as I mentioned, carbohydrates bring water into your body. Roughly 3 grams, this is grams of weight, of water for every gram of carbohydrate. So as you begin eating more food, you have more carbohydrates and water in your muscles. Both of these are excellent. However, they may reflect a higher number on the scale. You didn't all of a sudden gain a ton of body fat if you've been eating diligently the first couple weeks when you transition out of a diet. And number 2, when you begin to increase your calories, bringing yourself out of a calorie deficit, you have more energy, you're able to train harder, and those extra calories can be put to work to rapidly regain any muscle mass that was lost during your diet. So in just a short time frame, when transitioning from a dieting phase to a maintenance phase, you now have more carbohydrates, more water, and more muscle mass in your body. These reasons are why you may see a sudden jump on the scale in just a short few weeks when transitioning out of a dieting phase and into a maintenance phase. I hope that this puts you at ease, because I can't tell you how many times I talk about this with my clients. And I think this video will be an excellent resource to refer to them and many others in the future, because a lot of uncertainty is surrounding that transition from dieting to maintenance, as we discussed in detail yesterday. But when the scale just starts to increase, and it still shows no sign of slowing down, anxiety sets in, rightfully so. However, by taking a step back, taking a deep breath, Kelly, what do we got here? How many pounds up should you expect? Great question. I'll get back to that in a minute. But yeah, you take a deep breath and you have to acknowledge, hey, I'm eating more carbohydrates. I have more water in my body. And oh, by the way, bonus, I'm putting muscle mass on fairly quickly because it happens to be the muscle I lost during a diet. All 3 of these are excellent. And what you'll notice is when you do increase your calories appropriately, sure, the scale may jump up a little bit, but you start to feel better. You have more energy in the gym and outside of the gym. Your recovery is more on point. So many other benefits are taking place that for some reason get buried beneath that vicious scale number, unnecessarily so. Now, Kelly, you mentioned here how many pounds up should we expect to be at the end of maintenance. In yesterday's video, I discussed at great length trying to stay between 1% and 3% of your end of diet body weight. Very individualized, depends how many pounds you lost, where you started, where you ended, but I recommend you check out yesterday's video for a bit more in-depth explanation of that. Now, as I mentioned in my example earlier on, we had that 140.5 pound average and the 137.5 pound average within the first 2 weeks of transitioning from a diet to a maintenance. Now here's the thing. I mentioned that final week of numbers being a lie. Here's the sweet workaround. Instead of taking your weekly average from week 12 of your diet, the last week, what I want you to do instead for a better reference, Nadine, I'm not really a big Cubs fan. It just looks, it's a cool shirt, and then why not buy it when they win the World Series? But yeah, I support them. Anywho, you take, instead of week 12 average, take the final 2 weeks before your last week. I'm going to give you a better example so this is easier to understand, as your reference points. So for example, when I'm trying to find an average weight that I deem to be my sustainable, newly achieved end of diet weight, rather than using the weekly average from week 12, I'm going to take the average weight from week 10 and then week 11. I'm going to further average those 2 numbers. That is my new end of diet reference point, because from that point forward, it's likely that the weight I lost that is reflected on the scale is most likely attributed to further reducing carbohydrates and water. So again, I'm going to repeat this because I know it's a little confusing. I wish I turned to my whiteboard to draw it. But let's say we did a 12-week diet. Week 12 average is 137.5 pounds. Well, let's say the week 10 average was 140 pounds. The week 11 average was 139 pounds. Let's take the average between weeks 10 and 11. Now we have 139.5 pounds and we have that 140.5 pounds. We see we're really just a pound off from our true, newly earned and sustainable end of diet weight. And we can take another deep breath because 1 pound, that's purely ebb and flow of daily weight fluctuation. That should be expected. Bam! 3 reasons your weight may increase right away after a diet. And it's okay. It's to be expected. If you feel you can take a deep breath now, hit that like button for me. I would greatly appreciate it because now you no longer have to stress. After watching these 3 videos this week, I'm really hoping your diet-related anxiety when transitioning to a maintenance phase is brought down a little bit. You're feeling more confident moving forward. You understand that some of these fluctuations and changes and being outside of your comfort zone is to be expected. And it's okay. If you can let go of that and push the scale aside more and more, it becomes a fairly easy and actually enjoyable process. You're getting more food, you have more energy, hunger's fading. Don't let the scale overshadow that. No, some type of weight gain right away is to be expected. Patricia asked, excellent question. What do you do if an accidental binge occurs? Do you try to offset it the rest of the day or just keep going? That's an excellent question, and my recommendation is, put it in the past, move forward, put your best foot forward with a smile on your face, get right back on plan, and go one step further and prepare the next few meals or days worth of food ahead of time at that very instant so it's convenient to get right back on track. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you spending a few of your precious minutes with me this evening or this afternoon, regardless of where you're located. And just to summarize this week, we really talked about what to expect and what strategies you can put into action to help you have a smooth transition when going from a dieting phase to a maintenance phase. And even better, next week, we've got 3 more stellar videos lined up. I want to pull up kind of what we're talking about next week to give you some further ideas because it's still centered around actionable steps to make maintenance 10 times easier for you. So the first thing we'll cover here is setting a new goal. You were so locked in on that scale. Now what? There's no weight loss goal in mind here. What do? How can we achieve another specific goal to make sure we stay motivated and stay accountable? I'll dive into that. We'll talk about when and where to incorporate the free meals, the cheat meals. Can we have more of them during maintenance? How much is too much? When can I have one? Yeah, I'll dive into that. And lastly, how long should you stay on maintenance? What's an appropriate amount of time not dieting for you versus you and him and her and me? It's highly individualized, but I've got some great data to share with you after working with hundreds and hundreds of clients, seeing them go through dieting phases to maintenance, back to dieting to maintenance, throwing a massing phase in. I've got some cool stuff to share with you and actually some specific numbers as well. In addition to that, 2 fantastic case studies that I'm going to share with you of actual clients I worked with who just freaking knocked maintenance out of the park, but not without being met with a little frustration along the way. Thanks again, guys, and I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying this content. If you really enjoy it, tag someone below or share it. That would mean the world to me. It would really help put it out into front of more and more people so we can continue to help people bust through the stress and anxiety related from coming out of a dieting phase. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that so much. And lastly, I can't forget, if you watched my video last night, I held up something and I said, remember this. You couldn't see. Some people said, what's written on it? There was nothing written. But if you watched last night's video and you remember me holding something up, message me what that was and I will absolutely send you some free swag. I'll give you the option of what you'd like to collect. One of my 5 online free video courses, 3 of which are launching early May, or a copy of my ebook just for being awesome and tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. without further ado, have a wonderful Thursday. And oh my god, one last thing. I know I'm rambling at this point, but hey, if you have a specific question you would like answered related to transitioning from a dieting phase to a maintenance phase, message me on Facebook, because what I'll do is compile these and potentially throw together another Facebook Live next week in addition to the other 3 I have planned, just to address some common questions that you may have. It can be as specific or as general as you'd like. And do me a favor, like this page if you want constant notifications of when I'm going live again. And hey, I'll talk to you very soon. We've got one more thing. Technically, I held up a lot of things. The cat was not one of them, but that's a great point. Have a wonderful Thursday, everybody, and I'll see you soon.